In the last session, we talked about Sangin, Musa Kala, and Auzad, and how we were pushing the enemy to the north, and then from Musa Kala, pinching back to the northeast, getting into what many people referred to as the heartland of the insurgency here in Helmand, up in Kajaki, and in what we call Zamindavar. I thought it was necessary to push to Kajaki in order to maintain momentum, and in order to defeat the enemy to the point that the ANSF could begin to manage the security situation on their own. I thought if we pushed the enemy far enough out and we established the police and the ANA and the civil order police in positions, that we would put them in a place where they would be able to manage the insurgency for the long haul. Obviously, the Kajaki Dam is important because water is important to the province. It's a farming community up and down the Helmand River, and there's two things that you need: water and dirt in order to farm. So there's a lot of talk about the capacity of the dam relative to electrical power generation and that type of thing, but really for me it was to allow the Afghans to control the water. It was to open up the lines of communication all the way north along Route 611 to the dam, and it was to maintain relentless pressure on the enemy where we knew he had what he considered safe havens, and where we knew he felt he could bed down relatively freely. And that pressure on the enemy is ultimately why I wanted to move towards Kajaki. I'd really wanted to press to Kajaki, frankly, in the spring of 2011, but because we were committed in the upper Gereshk Valley, we didn't have the forces necessary to make the move north of Sangin. So as the summer fighting season sort of began to wane, if you will, we were in a position where we could reallocate the forces, move forces. In this case, we moved forces from Marja. Took a little bit of time, but we repositioned slowly, starting in the beginning of August, to put ourselves in a position by late September so that we could make the move to Kajaki. We knew that we didn't want to push straight up 611 and into the IED belts. We didn't want to fight through IED belts, and knew the enemy would fight a delaying action, so we tried to put a package together that would allow us to use all the tools in the toolkit, if you will, as we advanced up into Kajaki. We wanted to keep the enemy off balance. We wanted to do some deception. We wanted to integrate special operations forces, information ops. Again, use everything that we had available in order to keep the enemy off balance. I'll tell you that in an 11-day period leading up to what we call D-Day in Kajaki, in an 11-day period we did 22 operations with the special operations forces. And one of the most effective was our integration of the Afghan commandos. Twice in Kajaki, we inserted the Afghan commandos for a 24 or 48-hour period, and then we landed on top of them with conventional forces. Those conventional forces were partnered with Afghan National Army forces. They did a battle handover of on the ground, and then the commandos retrograded, and the conventional forces again partnered with the Afghan National Army forces, continued the fight up there in Kajaki, and it worked perfectly for us on two separate occasions. I think it's probably the first time that it's been done with the battle handover here in Afghanistan. And really the results of all the coordination, the deception, the soft integration, the use of commandos, the partnered forces, the result was that the enemy was overwhelmed. In fact, very quickly, we gained access to the dam. We opened the road to Kajaki. We forced the enemy to withdraw to the north, and that's where he remained as the winter approached. This was a significant achievement, not just for the coalition forces, but for the Afghans, for the provincial government. I'm sure that we caught many by surprise based on the success, but really It was the Marines on the ground and the Afghan forces who performed magnificently. We couldn't have done it without the support of the MLG, without the support of the wing. They were all critical to the success and the ability of us to maintain momentum. And it was the integration of all the assets, all the resources, and the hard work of our soft forces that allowed us to be as successful as we were. So we've now gained some momentum up there with the provincial government, with the district government. For the first time, this is the first time the people have seen, Afghan security forces. First time they've seen governance, if you will, in years. And they see it, and I think they want some more of it. And we expect Kajaki to continue to develop in the weeks and the months ahead. We would like to see the road paved. We think we can improve some irrigation project. There's work to be done in Kajaki, but we have had some great success initially as we moved our forces and secured the dam.